Welcome to Mysteries to Die For and this toe tag. I am TG Wolff and I'm here with Jack, my piano player and producer. This is normally a podcast where we combine storytelling with original music to put you at the heart of a mystery. Today is a bonus episode that we call a toe tag. It's the first chapter from a fresh release in the mystery, crime, or thriller genre. And today's featured release is A Murder of Furies by Eleanor Kuhns. All right, so A Murder of Furies is a historic cozy. So it is set in Knossos, Greece in 1415 BC. At nearly 17, Martis is an accomplished bull dancer and an apprentice to a healer. The last 2 years of her life have been colored by mystery, and she faces it once again. Tinos, the consort to the High Priestess and former bull dancer, asks Martis to search for his daughter, 9-year-old Atana. And Martis' search for Atana leads her into a web of conspiracy, one that will threaten to unweave the fabric of their community. Bottom line, A Murder of Furies is for you if you like your busybodies bold and your cozies Greek. So here we are with Chapter 1. Although it was just late March, Crete was already growing hot. Sweating and panting after the bird dance, I pushed my mask to the top of my head. I sucked in deep breaths and flapped the long white sleeves, pinned to resemble wings. Air rushed over my damp arms and legs. At least my dance was finished. Other dances would also be performed, and, in fact, the next one was already beginning. The younger girls, all maidens and too young to wear the red-spotted scarves, were clad in bearskins. They danced to honor the Lady of Animals in childbirth. I remembered that hot, smelly costume from previous years. Now, at almost 17, I danced as a bird in a graceful circle of white-clad girls twisting around one another. I thought we really did look like flying birds, not imprisoned by the earth. We each wore a mask of a different species. Although I hoped to dance as a gull or an owl, I was only a sparrow. The other bird dancers removed their masks and scattered into the audience to join friends and family, except the vulture. Funny, I thought. I didn't recognize the vulture. Now that I'd begun my agage and visited the dorms regularly, I thought I knew all the young women, at least by sight. I certainly would know everyone who I danced with. Despite the identical white gowns and the masks covering the faces, the bodies were difficult to disguise. This girl was heavier. That other one was slim as a papyrus reed. Although every girl danced the same steps, some jumped higher and some twisted with an extra roll of the hips. Easy to know them even if we weren't supposed to, for this short space of time. We were the creatures represented by our masks. But I did not recognize the vulture. I squinted against the bright sun. I didn't remember the vulture from rehearsals either. And surely at least one girl was missing? "If you're Martis, the High Priestess consort wishes to speak to you," said a treble voice behind me. I turned and looked first at a grubby little boy and then turned toward the crowd. I saw no sign of Tinos. "Where is he?" I asked, my heart leaping. At one time, I hoped, Tinos and I had developed a special connection. But last fall, during the investigation into the murder of the bull dancer, we'd fallen out. I'd seen very little of him since then, and only at a distance, as he conducted his duties. Sometimes I imagined we were still close friends. Other times I despaired we'd never be friends again. "I'll take you to him," the boy said, extending a grimy paw. I took hold and followed the boy through the crowd. We went a distance from the theater, finally pausing at a copse of trees. Tinos waited within, almost unrecognizable without his headdress or jewelry. His long black hair had been pulled back and tied with a string. "Martis," he said. As his eyes shifted from my hair to my white dress, his eyebrows rose in surprise. I touched my long hair self-consciously. I now wore it in the fashionable style, with most of it tumbling down my back, except for the locks pulled in front of my ears. "You've grown up. I'll always think of you in a boy's kilt." "I only wear that when I'm bull dancing," I said shortly, affronted. Did Tinos believe I would be a child forever? I was old enough to marry, although I had vowed before the goddess that I never would. Tinos nodded and stared over my head as though regretting this meeting. I could see he felt awkward, without the easy camaraderie we once enjoyed, and I was both sorry and angry with him. I looked forward to talking with him once again, and now he seemed, well, disappointed. "You wanted to see me?" I asked, my tone taking on some sharpness. He turned to look at me. "That's the Martis I remember," he said, grinning for the first time, still as quick to anger as ever. I went hot. Unable to think of a smart response, I tossed my head. "Have you seen Atana lately? I know you and my daughter are friends." I knew Atana, of course, and I'd made an effort to befriend her. At one point, I'd hoped to see more of Tinos, which didn't happen. Atana was only 9, and I didn't spend a lot of time with her. I turned and looked over my shoulder as though I could see through the trees and the crowds beyond. Atana should have joined the younger girls in the bear dance, but because she was the High Priestess's daughter, she'd been allowed to dance with the birds. Now, I knew who'd been missing. "Did you see her this morning?" Tinos continued, his words rushing out. "No," I said. "Didn't you?" "No, we, quarreled," he admitted, his eyes seeking the ground beneath his booted feet. "I haven't seen or spoken to her for several days." "Ah," I said in understanding. Before I moved into the girls' dorm, I'd been arguing frequently with my mother. Now that I stayed occasionally in the dorm, I saw her less often, and so we quarreled less. "I saw Atana at most of the rehearsals," I said now. "How many days has it been since you've spoken to her?" "Almost 3. She's been avoiding me. It was a very bad quarrel." Tinos' eyes slid away from mine. He took a deep breath and looked at me. "I'm worried about her." "Well, surely the High Priestess," I began, but Tinos was shaking his head. "She's too busy now," he said. I narrowed my eyes at him. Too busy to wonder where her daughter went? After so many days without seeing me, my mother took pains to seek me out. "Atana talks about you," Tinos continued. "She says you are her friend." I stared at him. "Friends?" Sure, we were friendly, but she was more like my younger sister. We were 2 outsiders. I just moved into the dorm years after most girls my age, and I stayed there infrequently, so I didn't know any of them well. I didn't care to. They were all looking forward to marriage. I wasn't. "Where would Atana go?" I asked. Atana, Tinos' oldest child, was much shyer than her older half-siblings and did not make friends easily. Perhaps because of her position, Atana's mother was the High Priestess after all, the other girls alternately teased or flattered her. "That's it, I don't know," Tinos said. A pleat formed between his brows and he suddenly looked tired. "But I am very worried. Will you ask the other girls if they've seen her?" "Why can't you ask them?" I asked. "They would have to answer you. As the High Priestess's consort, I mean. Tinos was the most important man in Knossos." The fingers on Tinos' right hand began to twitch nervously. "I can't," he said at last. It wouldn't be wise. The High Priestess..." His voice faded and disappeared. "What do you mean?" I asked, puzzled. "Speaking to them would be easier for you." Tinos tried again. "You see them regularly, and no one would find it surprising if you talked to them. My appearance would cause too much comment." He looked at me and I nodded. I was not so much around the younger girls, but I did see them as they ran races and wrestled. "Well then," he said, as though it was all settled, "I just want to know she's safe." "And if I find her?" I asked. "Tell her I'm worried," he said. "Would you ask her to come home and visit me? And tell her..." He paused. "Tell her I'm sorry. Will you do that for me?" "Yes, all right," I said. I did not believe this would be so difficult. "And Martis," Tinos continued, "if she objects or becomes angry with you, don't argue." He shot me a stern look from under his heavy brows. "Understand? Just come and tell me." I nodded, although I didn't understand. Why would I quarrel with Atana? And why would Atana quarrel with me? More to the point, What exactly happened between Tinos and his daughter? That was the real puzzle. "I'll have to go now," Tinos said, glancing at the sky. "It's almost time for the showing." "I'll see you later." He turned and started down the slope. I watched until he disappeared behind a thicket of trees. I slowly made my way back to the throng of people gathered around the theater. I did not think I could force my way through the crowd to rejoin my fellow birds, and besides, I would not watch the showing. Every spring, the High Priestess and her consort copulated in full view of the people of Knossos. It was important for the fertility of this land, but now that I knew Tinos and knew him well, I couldn't bear to see that ritual. I pushed my way through the crowd at the bottom of the paved area. As I squeezed by a woman in a fashionable ruffled skirt and tight jacket, the lady wrinkled her nose and tried to move away. I guess I stank of perspiration. And then, with a collective sigh, everyone turned to look at the walkway below. The High Priestess, riding side saddle on a white bull, was approaching. Her hair unbound tumbled down her back, and instead of jacket and skirt, she wore a loose white robe that left her neck and arms bare. Bronze bells hung from the bracelets on her wrists and ankles, and they tinkled with every movement. The bull was also decorated. Garlands of bright spring flowers festooned his horns and encircled his neck. Usually, the High Priestess smiled and waved at the people of Knossos, but her expression today was uncharacteristically grim. I turned to look at the top of the stadium. The bull-masked consort waited, glistening with water, as if he had just risen from the sea. The huge white bull's head covered Tinos' head and part of his shoulders, the horns tipped with gold and glittering in the sun. Even though I was not supposed to recognize Tinos, even though who else would it be but the High Priestess's consort, I recognized him anywhere. His broad shoulders tapered to the narrow waist, where the black, twisted scar was just visible as it reached behind his back. Once a bull leaper, the scar served as a reminder of the bull's horn that had caught him and ripped open his side. The white bull came to a halt, and the High Priestess's attendants helped her down. She walked the last few yards to the bed at Tinos' feet. When she reached him, she slid the robe from her shoulders and stepped out of it. But she did not unfasten Tinos' loincloth, as she had done every one of the 9 previous years. Instead, after an awkward few seconds, Tinos slid off the garment himself. I turned and fought my way through the audience, arriving at the other side of the crowd, gasping and trembling. I'd seen this ritual enacted almost every year of my life, but a year or two ago, I found that I couldn't watch it anymore. I knew that the bodies coming together on stage were not the goddess and her consort, but the High Priestess and Tinos acting their parts. And knowing Tinos and wishing he had his arms around me made everything different. I set off running, fleeing the central court to hide in the room in which the dancers changed. Okay, so that is the first chapter from A Murder of Furies. So the strength of the story really is the ancient Greek world that Kuhns meticulously brings back to life. She uses information hard-won through extended research to construct this female-led community who's dedicated to the goddess, complete with rituals, crafts, healings, and trading. Anyone who loves historic settings, especially ancient Greek, will find a lot to love in A Murder of Furies. I keep wanting to say flurries, but there is no L. It is Furies, F-U-R-I-E-S. Our detective is Martis, so she is 16, turning 17, and she has seen a lot of change in her family and community. You know, many cozies in general revolve around elder female leads. To me, Martis is what that lead was when she was 16 and 17 and on the cusp of adulthood. Martis is thoughtful and insightful, and yet she will rush into danger without aid or hesitation. She really didn't cross that line for me into, being too foolish, and you certainly couldn't blame lack of technology for not having backup. But she's gutsy and she's intuitive. She has unwavering loyalty to those closest to her, which extends to Tinos, but especially to her mother and her sisters. So standing at the end and looking to the front, the logic of the story is solid. Martis drives the story, and she is effective in changing the path that the bad guy sets in motion. And that changes the end of the story from what it would have been had Martis, quit at any point. She is a strong lead, and she is definitely one that's fun to follow. A Murder of Furies is the third in the Ancient Crete series, so I've read books 2 and 3. And while the mystery storyline does stand alone, I found that I did benefit from knowing Martis' history as well as a little bit more about the culture she lived in. So because of that, I do highly recommend reading the first books. So the first one is In the Shadow of the Bull, and the second one is On the Horns of Death. I think that'll really enhance your enjoyment of A Murder of Furies. A Murder of Furies is promoted by Partners in Crime Tours and is available from Amazon. Introducing you to our author, Eleanor Kuhns. So she is the 2011 Minotaur Mystery Writers of America winner for first crime novel. She won for A Simple Murder and now has 12 books in that series. A Murder of Furies is the third in the Bronze Age Crete series, which began with In the Shadow of the Bull. A lifelong librarian, she transitioned to a full-time writer during the pandemic. She lives in upstate New York with her husband and dog. Links are in the show notes to Eleanor's social, including her website. Wondering what to read after you finish A Murder of Furies? Partners in Crime Tours is your ultimate destination for all things mystery, crime, thriller, and cozy. Since 2011, they've been working to fill bookshelves with gripping and heart-pounding reads. Discover new mystery series and connect with other fans with Partners in Crime. Look up Partners in Crime Tours on the web or your favorite social media. Links are in the show notes. And authors, whether you're looking to promote your latest thriller, discover a new mystery, or connect with fellow fans of the genre, PICT has you covered. Check out their promotion options that come with the personal attention of a dedicated coordinator. Come back next week for Season 9, Stuff That Can Kill You. Chuck Brownman returns to the morgue with, dang near everything as the sticky means of murder in Rendering the Truth. All right, Jack, take us out.